Hi everyone, my name is Abhiraj Garikapati. Welcome to my YouTube channel Amazing Abhi.
Don't just hear the story, enter it.
At first, Jethro is angry at his outburst, but then he controls his emotions and even asks the bartender that he will pay Kalli's bill. Our boy then reprimands himself for venting his anger and even apologizes to Jethro, who brushes it off. Meanwhile, Jethro is thinking about monopolizing Kalli's fame because people are eager to see him fight after 2 years of his disappearance. Then Kalli asks about Azalea and her 2 years while he was away. Jethro tells him that she is not in good condition, as other families severed ties with her barren family due to pressure from the Joseph family, since her only situation to better her circumstances is to marry into a prominent family, but she has rejected potential proposals. Now every young lord has turned their back on her. Kalli then inquires about the Joseph family. Jethro informs him that they have lost interest in the ageist family because of their dire financial situation and debt complexities, which cannot be solved by money alone. Our dude comments how he didn't expect her to face such hardship, which prompts a comment from the merchant that it was because of her father that she had to hide from society. After he gets outside, he reflects on the information he got from Jethro and concludes that Azalea must be hiding something from him. Inside the training center, everyone is very happy to see Kalli back. He then turns to Niksar, who welcomes him warmly while expressing his envy over not being able to be as active as Kalli because of his leg and old age. Kalli observes him, noticing how he has lost his muscles and gained white hairs. Kalli then asks about his companions and Niksar answers that Kijo is at the lodging and Torres is away. Torres, who will soon become a free man after winning 67 matches, has going to pay off his debt. Kalli asks whether Torres will leave the territory. Niksar assumes that he is a loyal person, so he might stay. Their conversation is interrupted by Kijo, who greets Kalli warmly. When Kalli turns to him, he is startled to see that Kijo has lost one eye. Kijo explains that how he gave the biggest loss to his opponent who attacked his eye. While reminiscing about Kijo's fighting style, he confirms that Kijo must be at a disadvantage in fighting. Both of them are happy to see each other after so long. Then he asks about Rovo. Kijo answers that when Rovo grew up, it went to the forest, which brings tears to Kijo's eyes. He then turns the conversation to Azalea and asks whether she comes often to the training ground. Kijo explains that because of the contagious illness of the Baron, she didn't come outside or meet anything besides some close servant. He then bids them goodbye and goes to the western forest to see Rovo. Arriving there, he shouts Rovo's name. After a while, he sees a big wolf coming to him. Then Rovo ushers him somewhere, and he follows the wolf. He sees 3 wolf cubs and immediately understands that Rovo has a family now, which is why he didn't return to the camp. He is about to say something when suddenly he realizes something and rushes back. After a while, he is in front of Azalea's mansion, but the guards aren't letting him in. He requests them to let him in, but they remind him of his limit as a slave fighter. He then leaves with no choice but to fight the guards and goes inside. Meanwhile, he is thinking about why Sheet is hiding inside for half of the year. He looks here and there for her, and finally finds her inside a nursery. To see him here, she comments on his intelligence. He is baffled to find Azalea with a baby in her lap. He hesitantly goes ahead and takes a finger of the blonde baby in her lap while thinking about how this moment is life-changing for him. He remembers the time they were together and understands that this kid must be his. He asks about the baby's gender. She replies that it is a boy and she named him Soren after her grandfather. He asks about her reasoning for hiding him from him. She argues back that it was better this way as she didn't think he might take responsibility. When he protests, she asks him to quit fighting and take over the estate. He pleads with her not to ask something like this. She tells him to leave, as she is not going to tell her child that his father was killed during a fight. They argue for a while, with Kalli insisting that he always wins, but Azalea is persistent that he always pushes himself to his limit and she can't take the risk. She offers him to become a baron by marriage, but he is still hesitant. Later, he reflects on everything, how Azalea hid her pregnancy because she wanted him to pursue his dream. Besides, she is also dealing with bad debts and uproar from citizens. His thoughts are interrupted by the fist of Kijo. While observing his fist fighting, he concludes that Kijo has a different sense of distance. He thinks about how he suggested to Nixar that Kijo should stop fist fighting because of his eyes. But Nixar explains that he has offered him to be an instructor, but Kijo wants to do some more fights. He then asks his friend to quit fighting, but Kijo protests, while saying that he didn't stop when he injured his leg. When Kalli reminds him that his situation was different from Kijo's, he hears colorful accusations from him, but when he calmly asks Kijo his reason for wanting to be a free man, he calms down. Later, they settle down on a bench and he informs her about seeing a cookwoman at the training center. But the problem is that he can't marry her because of his status as a slave. Kalli dryly remarks that he also has a woman problem, but then he asks about his most important thing, and Kijo confidently replies that it is her. Something snaps in our boy. While listening to this, he remembers Kijo, who didn't have such determination before. He comments on how Kijo wants to be with someone now. After a while, Azalea finds Kalli in front of her. She tries to dismiss him, but he catches her attention by declaring that he is ready to be a baron while gritting his teeth. Meanwhile, Azalea thinks about how she never wanted his feet to, unable to move forward. She always hoped he wouldn't come back, but now she throws herself into his arms because now, when he returns, it's proof that she is really important to him, more than his dream of becoming a champion. Afterwards, their marriage news spreads like wildfire. Some support it, while others scoff at it, as it is seen as a kind of rebellion against aristocratic society. Count Joseph also hears the news. A few days later, Kalli finally joins his duty as a baron and receives the list of participants in a friendly match. He asks about Tora's, but Nixar informs him that he won't be able to make it until the match. Kalli comments that the situation is not good because they don't have any veteran fighters except Kijo. Nixar agrees with him, while adding that friendship won't make them money. Kalli answers that they have to make it work as they are in a worse situation. Besides, there are also people who don't like him becoming a lord. This is his chance to prove himself as a lord to them, so they need to win this. He doesn't want history to repeat itself because they have a match with Dorman within 7 days. He then asks Nixar to put Kijo's name on the list, and asks him to pay fully for this match. Nixar reminds him that their condition doesn't allow them to free him right now, no matter how close he is to Kijo. Then Nixar thinks about how Kalli can join the match, but rejects this idea because he left the boxing behind. Nixar then leaves the place, while thinking that although there is no history of nobles participating in slave fighting, but citizens mostly want to see Kalli. After Nixar leaves, Kalli sees the necklace he didn't give Azalea because of the fear that she might sell it to repay some debt. Besides, there are debt complexities he can't handle carelessly. Before we move ahead, please take a second to like on this video. A like tells me that you enjoyed this topic. Your support helps Amazing Pie grow naturally. Concludes that he needs a competent treasurer. While thinking, he goes on the road. People whisper while looking at him, saying how Gadolf is better than him. Listening to them, he confirms that he is more like his candor than Philly Post, but he wants someone like said emperor on his side. He finds that person in the bar who turns out to be none other than Jethro. He asks him to help him. Jethro immediately tells him that he doesn't have money to lend him. When he is about to leave, Kalli immediately stops him angrily, which scares him down, and he agrees to discuss business with our boy. He then asks Jethro to roll money under him, which leaves him totally baffled. More annoyed is Azalea, who doesn't like that person. Kalli reasons that he doesn't have knowledge of economics, so he wants Jethro's cunning. They both don't like him, but he can do some nefarious work for him. So now he can make him understand the situation closely, and then Kalli can do something about it. He thinks about how he never liked the ugly and dirty way Philly Post managed politics, which many times extended to assassinating dangerous individuals. That's why he immediately left that empire. But now he himself has to do it. Azalea then hands over everything to him. Usually it's rare for the power to be given to someone noble by marriage, but in Azalea's case, it is only debt and burden. After the following days, she sees Kalli doing everything in his power to handle the situation, which he always does. Now, looking at the fighters, Kalli doesn't seem happy. 4 days later, after taking a shower, he thinks about how he has been living for only his boxing career for the last 3 years. But looking at the mirror and reminding himself of his past self, he realizes that he hasn't done anything related to boxing since he becomes a baron. Now, he doesn't understand the purpose of his second life. After a while, he welcomes Count Dorman, who expresses his disbelief that Kalli has really become the baron. Then both of them greet each other while Dorman is still in disbelief, shaking hands with a slave. During the tea, he informs Dorman about his hand-picked pugilist while intentionally mentioning the ogre, which irritates Dorman. He then informs him about the broken mental state of the ogre after getting into a fight with Kalli. Kalli then tells him that the arena will be ready until 3 days before the match date. While looking at him, Dorman assumes that he might be fighting as well and asks whether he is participating. While looking at Azealia, he declines, which brings relief to Dorman. He is quite happy that they have only blind Kijo and rookies, so he can easily destroy them. On the day of the match, Jethro is distributing bread to everyone while asking them to maintain discipline. Jethro is quite angry that the bread, which is bought with his money, is being given to everyone. He asks our guy whether he is really going to give him money. Kalli answers that he can't deceive a cunning man like him, which Jethro takes as a compliment. However, he is still doubtful about Kalli's acquaintance with Boromarl. In the audience, everyone has different opinions regarding Kalli as a new lord. Some have good ones, while others have bad. The match starts with Shiram being the first one to go. While looking at the ring, Kalli understands the urgency to win this match as it helps people relieve their anger before the harvest season. He also realizes that the fighting style of the boxers has transformed into modern boxing with a Whistly style and centering around precision technique. He confirms that this development happens because of his transfer to this world. Meanwhile, Shiram's opponent punches him hard, but Shiram immediately pinches his arm, which distracts him. In the next moment, he punches him so hard, his enemy concludes that his punch was so fast that the audience can't even notice. But Shiram continues punching, which is defended by his opponent. Other participants are happy to see the match, while our boy is tense, wondering when Shiram will be done. He will be exhausted, only to get beaten. It really happens that Shiram gets exhausted, which is taken advantage of by his opponent, who punches him hard. Shiram still tries to punch back, but his opponent dodges it immediately and punches him back, knocking him out. Regardless, Shiram can't attack back, he keeps hitting him. Kalli concludes that it must be because Dorman really wants to crush them. The opponent asks Shiram to just die because of giving such a lame match. Dorman laughs while apologizing for his fighters being rough. Kalli comments that it can happen during a match, which prompts a remark from Dorman that he understands this thing because of his prior experience as a boxer. He looks at his fighters and concludes that there is a huge power difference between them and Dorman's. He doesn't have anyone besides Kiju. Shiram is good, but he just isn't prepared to win within a week. His other fighter is also afraid to fight and gets beaten by Dorman's fighter. Seeing that, everyone is shouting about how they can lose a match when their baron is himself a famous boxer. They loudly curse Kalli's fighters. Dorman is quite satisfied to see it because he has already won 2 matches. He asks whether Kiju is his last contestant, which Kalli confirms. While looking at Kalli, Azealia is shocked to see his dark and mood. Then she tries to calm him down. Unbeknownst to him, Dorman keeps informing him about his next fighter, who is his top boxer, whom he has trained diligently over the years. His name is Charon. When he enters the ring, everyone is cheering for Kiju and asks him to win this match. Kalli knows that they have already lost the match, but they need to win this round to save face in front of their audience. Before the match, Kiju recalls our guy telling the pugilists not to be intimidated by their opponent's strength, reminding him that every blow hurts both sides equally. He advises the boxers to block with all their might, to which one pugilist replies with a firm yes. Our guy then turns to Shiram, encouraging him by saying that he has both perseverance and skill, urging him to fight calmly and not let his emotions take over. Shiram although stutters that he understands. Kiju then looks at his own fist, confiding in our guy that he doesn't want to become as strong as him. All he desires is to escape the life of a slave fighter and live a normal life like everyone else. Kiju knows that to achieve that freedom, he needs to win. As the match begins, the crowd erupts in cheers. Our guy carefully observes Kiju, aware of the difficulty of gauging distance with only one eye. But Kiju is determined to give his all. Kiju initiates the attack, throwing punches from a distance with his long arm, but Charon, blocks them effortlessly, mocking Kiju for being a one-eyed pugilist. Kiju notices Charon's feet inching forward, and our guy panics, knowing that if he gets too close, the fight will devolve into a slugfest. Kiju swiftly steps back to maintain distance, but to his shock, he closes the gap with incredible speed. Kiju launches another punch, realizing that Charon is trying to exploit his blind spot. Charon, now serious, steps back, dodging his punch, leaving him in disbelief. Our guy observes that Charon is reading Kiju's movements. Charon dashes forward, frustratedly declaring that only a challenge like Ogre Slayer is worth his time. Kiju, shouting that he is enough of a challenge, tries to punch Charon, but Charon ducks under it and closes in even more, making Kiju realize that keeping his distance is futile. Even if he creates space, Charon will close it instantly. With no other options, Kiju charges forward to meet Charon head-on, launching his fist. Charon lands a punch to Kiju's face, but he retaliates, striking Charon in the side. Kalli stands up worried, knowing that if Kiju engages in a slugfest with Charon, he will surely lose. If only Kiju had both eyes, he could win. Before we move ahead, please take a second to share on this video. Sharing helps this video reach friends who may also enjoy anime, gaming, travel, cricket, chess, career basics, or personal stories. Your support helps Amazing Up grow naturally. As the exchange blows, Charon teases Kiju, asking if he should take out his remaining eye. Kiju, desperate to protect himself, distances himself from Charon, but he quickly follows up with a hard punch to Kiju's stomach, then another to his side, hitting his head. Kalli watches in a rage, while struggling to restrain himself. Charon continues his relentless assault, while knocking off Kiju's eye patch, but he doesn't stop. He sneers that he has heard enough about the Ogre Slayer over the past 2 years to be sick of it. Lifting Kiju's long arm, Charon declares his intent to defeat our guy and claim his reputation if they ever cross paths. However, he adds with disappointment that since our guy has become a noble, he will never return to the sand arena. Charon suddenly feels a sharp pain in his side, and in response, Charon snaps his finger, calling him an arrogant bastard, causing Kiju to scream in pain. The citizens angrily question why they are subjected to such a poor fight, accusing our guy of neglecting his duties since becoming a noble. Amidst the chaos, Dorman is laughing victoriously while the citizens blame our guy in anger. He sees Kiju writhing in pain, clutching his hand, which triggers memories of his own brutal past. He recalls the time when he, as part Kante, was beaten to death, and how he later triumphed as the slave Kalli. These memories make him snap, but he is brought back to the present by thoughts of his son, Soren. In his rage, he crushes the chair handle with just a grip, shocking Dorman into fear. Azalea calls out to him in concern, but our guy only apologizes, which shocks her. He admits that he doesn't think he can be a good father. Ignoring Azalea's pleas to wait, he stands up and calls out to Dorman, removing his suit while suggesting another round, which horrifies Dorman. Our guy then leaps off the stage despite Dorman's attempts to stop him and heads to the ring. Once inside, the citizens begin to cheer for him, calling him the Ogre Slayer. Charon teases our guy, saying that he can't believe he is making an appearance with his noble body, asking sarcastically what brought this on. Kalli advises Charon to rest until the cheers subside, but Charon stretches and insists there is no need. He then dashes toward our guy at incredible speed. Charon thinks that he can end the fight before our guy warms up, and when he tries to punch him, he dodges and lands a blow on Kalli's stomach. However, he remains unfazed. Charon taunts him, claiming that the Ogre Slayer's reputation is exaggerated and that there is nothing special about him. But then, to Charon's shock, our guy suddenly appears in front of him at blinding speed, asking if Charon plans to fight with just his mouth. At that, Kalli strikes Charon's arm shield, sending him flying backward. As Charon stares in disbelief at his shaking arms, our guy coldly remarks that he despises the title of Ogre Slayer and that he will carefully choose his next title. Charon unleashes a flurry of punches, but Kalli blocks them all. Noting Charon's impressive speed, he considers that Charon might be one of the fastest opponents he has ever faced, though not so fast that he can't dodge. Positioning his foot, he skillfully evades Charon's next punch. He tries his best to land a hit, can't fathom how his opponent dodges so easily. Then, in a flash, our guy dashes to his opponent's side and lands a solid punch to his face, leaving Sharon in disbelief at how easily he counters and avoids his attacks. Determined, Sharon attempts another punch, but our dude sidesteps once more. Sharon sees the intensity in Kalli's eyes and, summoning all his speed, launches a fist aimed at his head, managing to land a blow that draws blood. As blood drips to the ground, our guy mutters that he must have gotten rusty. Though he is fortunate, it's only a slash to the forehead. He knows he has to act quickly. With his vision blurring and the bleeding showing no signs of stopping, he drops his guard and steps back slightly, intending to lure Sharon in. Sharon notices the lowered guard and, curious about what Kalli is planning, dashes forward while wondering if he is about to give up. His punch connects with Kalli's face, causing the crowd to erupt in anger, questioning why he is suddenly acting hesitant after being so confident. The shouts only fuel his fury. He just wants to fight. With a burst of rage, our guy punches him in the stomach, making him cough up blood and scream in pain. He desperately throws more punches, but they are blocked effortlessly. At that, our dude retaliates, while refusing to throw away everything he has achieved thus far, landing another punch on his face. Yet Sharon doesn't back down and throws multiple punches in anger. But Kalli takes them without flinching and responds with another blow to Sharon's face. Sharon curses under his breath, knowing he has hit harder than before, but Kalli is still standing. As he approaches, Sharon can't understand how he hasn't fallen. Our guy then remembers his past fight against someone who seemed impervious to pain, who was an enemy who wouldn't go down, no matter how hard he hit. But he realizes that in the past, the opponent had only been bluffing, pretending not to feel pain. Kalli launches a punch filled with anger, sending Sharon staggering back. The citizens cheer wildly, urging him to crush Sharon. Sharon tries to punch again, but our guy dodges and strikes him in the side, delivering another devastating blow. Sharon feels intense pain as our guy strikes the spot where Kijo had hit him earlier. Our guy then throws another punch at Sharon, taunting him about leaving his jaw exposed. The punch connects with Sharon's jaw, and he hears the sickening crack of bone breaking before he collapses to the ground. But our guy doesn't stop there. He grabs Sharon's hand and breaks one of his fingers, telling him it's for Kijo and that he should never forget it. Turning to Dorman, our guy comments that the condition of his remaining two pugilists doesn't seem too bad either. He asks Dorman if they should continue, causing Dorman to question whether he has lost all sense, even after becoming a noble. Dorman angrily declares that the ridiculous fight is over. Feigning exhaustion, he shouts that he is very tired now and asks his pugilists when they plan to earn a spectacular title if not now. This comment boosts the pugilists' confidence, and they begin to argue over who will fight him first. He chuckles, telling them to stop talking nonsense and just come at him simultaneously, as it would make things more interesting. As the two pugilists rush toward him, he glances at Azalea with an apologetic expression. Noticing her worried look, he knows that he can't discuss his life without mentioning pugilism. Right now, he realizes that quitting the sport is an impossible promise. Bracing himself, he watches as the two pugilists enter the ring. He feels the blood on his head clotting as the bleeding finally stops. Assessing his opponents, he determines they are below Sharon's level. When one of the pugilists throws a punch at him, he ducks down to avoid it and counters with a blow to the pugilist's stomach, defeating him easily. The other pugilist then appears at his side and tries to land a punch, but he understands that what people need right now isn't bread or material things. They need help. He dashes forward, landing a punch on the pugilist who had stepped back to cover his face. Unfortunately for him, he isn't fast enough and takes the punch squarely in the face, collapsing in defeat. Raising his fist in victory, he hears the citizens cheer for him. He knows they need someone to trust, someone who can carry their hopes for the future. He then shouts to them that just like them, he has experienced hunger and has once laid his face down, enduring the stench of the nobles. Daraman turns pale as a ghost in shock. Our guy then addresses the citizens, telling them that he has come this far with his fists and it will remain the same in the future. He reminds them that he has never lost a fight, and that if they find it hard to believe in him, they should at least believe in his fists. A moment later, the friendly man. Before we move ahead, please take a second to like on this video. A like tells me that you enjoyed this topic. Your support helps Amazing Pie grow naturally. Is over and everyone starts leaving the venue while Kalli rests in the clinic, catching his breath and exhaustion. Kyo approaches him commenting that in the end, he just couldn't stay away from the match. He asks if Kijo has heard about it, to which Kijo replies that it's impossible not to, and everyone is shouting about it. He curses under his breath and admits that he promised never to do pugilism again, but Kijo reminds him that he is different and pugilism is his life's purpose. Our guy is surprised and tells Kijo that he has quite a subtle insight, and Kijo asks, how can he not know that? Kijo then remarks that in his current state, he will have to delay his dream of becoming a free man, but he replies that after that match, he will be a free man. Kyo is shocked and tells him not to joke about such things because he doesn't have that kind of luxury. He explains that it is on the condition that he serves as a pugilism instructor for 2 years, and after that, he can finally settle down, start a family, and live as a free man. With his experience, he believes he can definitely do that. Overcome with emotion, Kijo rushes to him and hugs him tightly, crying and thanking him repeatedly. He tells Kijo to hold on, but Kijo's grip only tightens, prompting him to punch Kijo, making him scream in pain. Later back at the mansion, Azalea treats our guy's wounds. Worried, he asks whether she is angry that he broke his promise. She simply tells him to forget about it, adding that she knew he couldn't keep the promise anyway, which makes him realize that she is truly upset. He then apologizes seriously, telling her that she and their son are precious to him. But he can't give up pugilism because living the rest of his life feeling empty is not an option. Azalea then asks what will happen if he ends up dying because of it, and what she should tell Soren when he asks where his father is. He admits that he isn't sure, but imagines Soren asking why he quit pugilism. If he replies that he stopped because he couldn't do it because of Soren and his mother, it would sound so lame. He then explains that at the very least he wants to become the kingdom's champion. That way, he can tell his son that he quit because there was nowhere higher to go, while preserving his dignity as a father. Azalea sighs and hugs him while wondering aloud how she fell for such a crazy guy. He wraps his arms around her, apologizing again and promising her that he will try not to die. Her eyes fill with tears as she begs him not to die. He knows that Park Kante-'s life is over, and the only connection he has to a life beyond death is pugilism. If he loses the chance to be a pugilist, he feels as though he would truly die. A few days later, Torres and the instructors return after finishing the match. While they were away, many changes have taken place in the adjusting barony, the most significant being that Kalli has become Baron Aegist. Torres approaches his office, hesitating before knocking as he wonders how to be respectful. Eventually, he manages to knock, reassuring himself that treating Kalli with respect won't kill him. Kalli invites him in, and upon seeing Torres, he is surprised at how much bigger Torres has become, though he still maintains his balance and composure. Torres enters and then asks if he's been with Azalea since the caravan merchant's trip 2 years ago, to which he stutters and agrees. Without warning, Torres punches him hard on the nose, causing him to yelp in pain. Suddenly, he remembers Kiju mentioning that Torres admires Azalea. He shouts at Torres, reminding him that he is now a baron, and on top of that, injured, showing his bandages as proof. But Torres just tells him to shut up, insisting that Kalli is still the same to him. Torres then sits down in front of him, cursing under his breath, and admitting that he has suspected something was off ever since the caravan trip 2 years ago. After a moment, Torres smiles and says the past is the past, making Kalli sigh in relief. Kalli then congratulates Torres on earning his freedom, noting that he is the first pugilist from Aegis to do so in nearly 5 years. Torres apologizes for making him bleed, explaining that seeing his annoying face after so long just irritated him. Kalli calmly sips his tea and suggests that maybe it's because he is now a noble and his face isn't soaked with sweat anymore. Torres scoffs, telling him to shove his nobility, and teasingly mentions that he heard Kalli recently stormed into the arena in a fit of anger, sarcastically calling him a grand lord. Kalli notices that Torres doesn't seem genuinely angry, which makes sense since Torres rarely speaks to people he isn't close to. He then tells Torres to feel free to curse him all he wants, adding that, in truth, he should be the one bowing to Torres. After all, a free pugilist isn't obligated to sign a contract with the training camp they were affiliated with before. He knows that Torres, the wild boar of Aegis, has become one of the kingdom's most famous pugilists, but despite his fame, Torres Torres is a loyal man. Torres suddenly slams his cup of tea on the table and asks if Kalli plans to continue being a pugilist now that he has become a noble. Kalli replies that if he were going to quit just because of a change in status, he would have done it when his leg was broken. Torres then tells him that he won't be affiliated with ageist anymore, making Kalli stare at him seriously. Torres tells not to make such sarcastically faces while explaining that he had originally planned to stay with ageist. Kalli asks if it's because of him or because he married Azalea, which makes Torres angry. He shouts that, yes, he did lie Azalea. He would not leave over such a trivial relationship issue. Torres then confesses that he had planned to stop pugilism once he gained his freedom, training hard to earn wealth and honor. However, after seeing Kalli, he changes his mind and pugilism has become more than just a means to an end for him, which surprises Kalli. Torres adds that he thinks it would be satisfying to knock someone like Kalli out with his own hands. Kalli smiles and asks if Torres wants to see who will get beaten up. Torres then tells him that he'll be competing in the Kingdom tournament with a different training camp. He explains that it's forbidden for more than one participant from the same camp to enter, making Kalli realize why Torres won't be affiliated with ageist anymore. Before leaving, Torres tells Kalli that he still considers him a friend and that during the fight against the ogre, he had desperately hoped Kalli wouldn't die, genuinely cheering for him. But Torres reminds Kalli that they are both walking the same path and only one person can enter the narrow threshold of success. He then tells Kalli that he doesn't like him enough to give up that narrow threshold. To that, Kalli replies that the feeling is mutual. They say their goodbyes. A few days later, Baron Dorman leaves ageist, and Torres is among his party who was once known as the Boer of ageist. Count Dorman asks Torres if he really wants to join him, while thinking that the trainers at the training center must have been giving Torres a hard time. However, Torres insists that he does not care since the training center is the closest one available. He also tells Dorman that he has changed a lot. Dorman wonders that he cannot believe the most coveted pugilist has come to him on his own. Determined not to miss the opportunity, Dorman asks Torres if he would like to rest after their arrival, as his territory is just over the hill, or if he would rather meet the other slave fighters. Torres takes a moment and says he wants to meet Ogre. This shocks Dorman, but he agrees and takes him to meet Ogre, who is seen holding huge wooden sticks. Torres feels as though Ogre might be crazy. Dorman informs Torres that Ogre is no longer able to compete in matches and has completely lost his fighting spirit. He explains that it has been a while since he last saw him, so he got curious. Dorman further shares that a year ago, he was confused about what to do with Ogre because he was not participating in matches while wasting food and resources. And when he went on a rampage, no one could control him. But eventually he got better and started helping with work. Dorman asks Ogre about his work and Ogre replies that it is fine. Dorman reminds him to stay aware of his surroundings while working and not to crush anyone like before. Torres then wonders loudly if Kalli can knock down a monster like Ogre. Hearing Kalli's name, Ogre becomes furious and starts shouting. Everyone realizes that Ogre has lost control and begins running. Meanwhile, Torres is still wondering what exactly happened. Dorman explains that it still haunts him since he lost to Kalli 3 years ago. He says that whenever Ogre hears Kalli's name or the word pugilist, he loses control like this. Torres now understands that Kalli destroyed not only Ogre's body but also his spirit. He decides that he must face Kalli someday. Meanwhile, the harvest season arrives after the friendly match between the kingdoms of Aegis and Dorman. Aegis is struggling to get through the winter. However, with the skills of the current treasurer Jethro, they manage to buy grain from various places to meet their needs. Nevertheless, the debt continues to pile up, and the wedding of Kalli and Azalea is fast approaching. Jethro furiously confronts Kalli and asks if he has any idea how much he owes. Our guy apologizes and says he will contact Count Boromarl soon, but he insists that they must prioritize finding citizens first as people are more important than money. Jethro coldly responds that nothing is more important than money in this world. He explains that for a few bucks, people sell children, or even kill their parents. He says that Kalli of all people should understand this better. Being from a slave root, he adds that money can even buy humans, and that it is the only thing he trusts. Despite his words, Jethro agrees to cover the cost of the wedding for now. Our guy thanks him while acknowledging Jethro's competence, but worries that if he cannot repay him, Jethro might exploit the estate. He considers that in the worst case, he could ask the emperor for help, but he can guess what that sneaky fellow might demand in return. Lost in these thoughts, Kalli is interrupted by Azalea, who asks if he can hear her. She shows him a dress and asks him to try it on for the wedding. She brings several dresses and explains that they have to dress formally because there will be many nobles attending. Kalli questions why, as it is just the wedding of a local baron's family. Azalea insists that he is still her partner, and this is about ensuring they treat a baron of humble origins favorably. As our guy tries on that outfit, Azalea remarks, "If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to Amazing Up High. Subscribing makes sure you do not miss the next video, and it gives me motivation to keep improving the quality of every upload. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one."